Hi, my name is Caitlin Lipscomb. I'm a physical therapist with KTL Therapy. Today I'm going to use my handsome model to show you some of the positioning strategies that I talk about in my written blog post on our website about how to prevent plagiocephaly or flat head syndrome. So I'm going to go through just a few of the positioning strategies in the blog post, and then at the end I'm going to show you 2 neck stretches that you can do to prevent any neck tightness or torticollis from developing, because that often will develop if your baby has plagiocephaly. Yeah. So the first one we're gonna do is some tummy time. So tummy time is my #1 recommendation to prevent plagiocephaly, or if you're already seeing a flat spot, to help stop that from getting any worse. My favorite way to do tummy time with Mr. Wesley here is with a rolled up blanket. And I'm just going to put this right under his chest, kind of at his armpit level, to, if we say awake, to help prop him up a little bit more, to make it a little bit easier. There's a million different ways you can do tummy time, so you just have to find what works for you. We're going to get this arm over top. And then we're gonna roll. You're not gonna be happy with me. Oh, Wesley. Yeah, you gotta show off. Say he's trying to go to sleep right now, so this is not a great example. But there we go. The roll will help prop him up a little bit better, and if you want to put a toy, or mom or dad can be in the front talking to him to help him pick his head up a little bit higher. This is great for overall development and just to spend less time on the back of our head. You want to shoot for 30 to 60 minutes total in a day. But obviously, when they're really little, you're not going to get a ton of time at once, so it's going to be really broken up. Now, when tummy time is not an option, like when we're falling asleep or we're getting really cranky, you can use the side lying position instead. So it's exactly what it sounds like. Ooh, we're going to roll you to your left side. Yeah. We're gonna roll, and I take this top leg and rotate it over the bottom to help keep them in place. And then you can use your leg, your hands, or you can use that same blanket roll and just hold him there. And this is a good way to start like reaching for toys, things like that. Now he still has some pressure on the side of his head, but it's in a different spot than if he were to be lying on his back. So you can spend a few minutes here and then roll to the other side. So I use this a lot when we're taking a break from tummy time. The third thing I'm going to show you is how to position their head when they're lying on their back. So in the blog post, I talk a lot about staying off the back of their head in general, especially when they're awake, since they're spending so much time sleeping on their backs in the day. But sometimes you don't really have a choice. And if you're doing some floor play and the only way they're happy is lying on their backs, you can use this rolled up blanket again. We make a little upside down U, and then I, a lot of times, will put a blanket over top so that he can't mess with my beautiful blanket roll. And then basically what you're going to use that for is a little donut to keep their head in what we call midline. So Wesley really likes looking to the left, and that's where he would start to get a flat spot if we kept letting him look that way. So when you do this, and you can kind of tuck him in a little bit better, this helps keep his head in midline with his nose pointed straight up to the ceiling, and again just putting pressure in a different spot than what he's like gonna do most of the time. So that's a really easy way to keep them in the middle. I would not suggest doing this when they're sleeping, because we're not supposed to have anything with them when they're sleeping, but it's great for playing on our backs. The fourth thing I was just going to mention is alternating sleep, or the position they're in their crib or their bassinet while they sleep. So he generally, if this is his bassinet, when I lay him down in his bassinet, he likes to rotate really far to the left, and he'll stay there if I don't do anything about it. So if he's really rotated over, a lot of times I'll wait till he's really good in a sleep, and then I'll just gently turn his head to the other side, and gradually he'll go back over there, and that's okay. You don't want to have to be moving his head all night long, but again, it just gives him some time on a different spot on his head. We will also alternate the orientation of how he's lying in his bassinet. So one night I might lie him down facing this way with his head down there. The next night I'll do it down here, or like if I'm feeding him in the middle of the night, I'll lay him back down with his head down here. He likes to get fixated on his noise machine and night lights, which is over on this left side. So if I rotate which side he's lying on, it forces him to look in a different direction. The fifth thing I just wanted to touch on too is using a baby carrier a lot in the day. Like I was saying, babies spend a lot of time sleeping on their backs during the day, and you can't avoid that. So you can use that for sleeping. But during awake time, if they don't want to do floor play, you want to avoid spending time like in a swing or a little bouncy seat as much as possible, because that's just more time on the back of their head. So if you really need to get stuff done, instead of putting them in one of those container type objects, if you put them in a baby carrier and do the things you need to do, that's going to keep them off the back of their head. The last thing that we're going to talk about today that I'm going to show you real quick are the 2 neck stretches that will help prevent any neck tightness from developing, otherwise known as torticollis. A lot of times torticollis and plagiocephaly go hand in hand. If we really like looking one way and we start to get a flat spot on our head, our neck will start to get tight, and then they just make each other worse with time. So these are just good preventative stretches to do. If you notice a lot of neck tightness, it's a good idea to bring it up to your pediatrician so that they can refer you to a physical therapist who can show you more aggressive stretching and strengthening exercises so it doesn't become a bigger problem. Plagiocephaly is not necessarily going to affect development. It's more of a cosmetic issue, but torticollis can impact overall development, so you want to address that as soon as you can. But these will just help prevent any tightness. So for him, like I said, he really likes looking to the left. So all I'm going to do, and he's already helping me, is we're going to get our head turned all the way to the right. I'm going to anchor on his opposite shoulder, so his left shoulder. I'm going to take my other hand, and I'm just going to push his forehead. You want to avoid the jaw or his face. You want to push on the forehead, get his chin all the way to his shoulder, and hold for 30 seconds. If you can't get 30 seconds, try to break it up in 3 sets of 10. And you want to do this maybe like 2 or 3 times in the day. So that's a good one. And the other one I like to do with him is just a tilting stretch. So you're going to scoop up the back of his head, anchor on his shoulder, and then I'm going to take his left ear to his left shoulder. Nose pointed straight up at the ceiling. Holding for 30 seconds again. And then I would also do that to the other side too. So I'll show that real quick so you can see. Anchor on the shoulder. Take right ear to right shoulder. Nose pointing up at the ceiling. It's really easy when they're sleeping, not as easy when they're awake. But those are the strategies and the stretches. So that's all I have for today. Thank you for joining us.